Hi everyone, and welcome back for another episode in our Unreal Engine 4 tutorial series, Saving and Loading. In the previous episodes I showed you how to basically make a saving and loading system, and then we went on and showed you how to save the world states or level states, such as the doors we've got here. In this episode we're going to go over how to make it so we have multiple save slots that the player can choose from and save into. This is quite a common thing you see in a lot of games, so it's been quite an often asked request in my comments and Patreon and so forth, so I thought I'd show you how to do it. So to begin with, we need to first of all make up a menu screen. So I'm just going to go back to my root folder here. I'm just going to make a new map, new level, and of course one main menu. And I'm going to open this up. Now, I don't need to put anything inside this world because it's just going to be a menu screen. So I'm just going to make a basic widget to display over it. So I'm going to go to add new user interface widget blueprint. And I'll call it main menu underscore UI. And I'm also going to need another widget for a save slot. So save slot underscore UI. So in my save slot, I'm going to delete the canvas panel in here, and I'll put in a size box. And the size box, I'm going to make it a width override of 1000 and a height override of 300. Inside my size box, I'm going to have a border, and my border, I'm going to change the colour of my brush to some sort of see-through grey I've got here. Inside my border, I'm going to put in, just put in a vertical box. And inside my vertical box, I'm going to have a text field. And I'm going to have a button. And we have another text field. Okay, so this first text field here, let's change our fill screen over here on the right hand side to desired. It gives us a better representation of what it's going to look like on the screen. So this text field here is going to say the title or number of the save slot. The button is going to allow us to click through and go into that save, and this bottom text box is going to show some data stored on that save file. So let's expand this button open. So click on the button, and where it says size on the right hand side details panel, choose fill, and that will now fill the whole entire widget. Click on the bottom text block, and I'm going to make this right aligned. So find the justification and make it right aligned. Okay, I also want to make my button see-through. So to make a button see-through, you go over to the right hand side with it selected, and you'll see background color as an option. Choose this, and you'll see A is for alpha, which is basically see-throughness. If we change that down to 0, it becomes invisible, but we can still click on it, which is what's important. Click compile and go over to its graph editor. So the graph in here is going to need a couple of variables. The first one is going to be a number, which can be the slot index, and you want that to be an integer. Next up, we're going to have a slot name, and that's going to be a string. And you want to both make these public by clicking on little eyeballs here, and that makes them editable inside our editors. Click compile here, and for now this will do. We'll come back to this in a moment, and actually we'll come back to all this in a moment as well. So close that. Let's go into our main menu UI, and in here we can put in a text field into our canvas panel, and I'm just going to drag it out, and I'm going to tell the player to choose a save game. Let's just make that a bit bigger. Gamed. There we go. Choose a save game. Next, I want a vertical box. And my vertical box over here is going to store 3 save slots. So go to a user created and you should see a save slot there for you. So I'm putting 3 of them. And with the vertical box still selected, choose size to content on the right hand side details panel. And I'm going to anchor this to the center of the screen like so. Okay, so I've got 3 save slots, and for each one we need to set 2 variables for it. So that slot index and slot name we made public is now visible on the right hand side. So this first slot index I'm going to leave at 0. No, I'll leave that, put that as 1 actually. And I'm going to call the slot name save slot 1. And then for the next one, 2, save slot 2. And 3, save slot 3. Now spelling is very important in this, so you want to make sure that you're spelling all of these correctly. Click compile, and we're done with the main menu widget. On the save slot UI again, we're now going to make it show some text here. So this text block here, I'm going to click on it, and then I'm going to go where it says content text, and it says currently text block. On the right of that you'll see bind. Click on this and choose create binding. Okay, so here I want to use a format text. So on the return value, drag out, do format text. And in here I'm just going to type in the text I want it to show. So I'm going to call it save game colon, and then in curly brackets I'm going to put in int. So in curly brackets like so. And when you push enter, the int pin will appear. So anything you do in a curly bracket here will appear as a pin input here. And this will be our slot index. So drag your slot index out and attach it to the int. Click compile, and let's go in, close this down. And with the main menu level loaded up, which I've got here, I'm going to go into my blueprints up top and choose the open level blueprint. What we're going to do is we're going to, at begin play, create the main menu widget and then add it to the viewport. So on the event begin play, create widget and choose your main menu UI. And then from there we're going to add to viewport and click compile. Now if I push play, we should see our save games loading up here. I can't click on nothing yet, it doesn't do anything yet. And also I want to make it so I've actually got mouse control in this screen. So if I go into my open level blueprint again, we're going to add on, after add to viewport, the ability to see our mouse and be able to click on things. So right click and get player controller, and here you want to set the input mode to UI only. From the get player controller you want set show mouse cursor, and that does what you think it does. It turns the mouse cursor on so you can actually see it. Now if I push play, I can click around and the mouse stays on the screen. Perfect. Okay, so now to make these buttons actually do something. So the way it works is we have to change a little bit about that game instance we've made in prior videos. So if you haven't seen the previous videos, head over there and watch the first, at least the first part, before carrying on with this one. So in your game instance, on the event graph, we have this event init. So when the game initializes, it starts a save game slot. Okay. What I don't want is that to happen straight away. I want it to happen based on what slot I actually click on. So I'm going to disconnect my init here, and I'm going to put in a custom event called load game. And my load game here is going to have an input on the right hand side. Click add new input, and we're going to call it save slot name. And this can be a string. And what we're going to do is delete what we previously got there and drag your save slot name out from the variable list, choose set, and connect up all the pins like so. So when we call the load game event, we're going to be asking the player or the designer to put in a save slot name. That name is going to be then saved and load it up. Okay, like you normally have done before. Okay, so once we've got that, we now need to actually call the load game. So open up your save slot UI and go to the graph. Actually, no, back to the designer. Click on your button, and if you scroll down the details panel, you'll see on clicked, on pressed, and so forth. On the on clicked, you'll have a big green plus button. Click on this, and it'll add the event for that button of on clicked. So this button clicked, it'll do the following. So the first thing we need to do is get the game instance. And because this returns a generic game instance reference, we need to cast it to our specific my game instance. As my game instance, I should be able then from there get call the load game. And here you can see that save slot name input being asked. So I'm just going to drag in my slot name from my variable list onto load game. Now that's loaded up the game, I'm going to say it to load the level. So I'm going to go open level, and I'm going to just type in the name of the level that I want it to open. So the default is third person example map. I believe that spelling is correct. And click compile. So now when I click on one of these, it will actually load up the game and open a level. So let's have a look at that in action. So save game 1, 2 and 3. Click on this first one, and there you can see it's loaded up a previous save. Now as you can see, I can't move or do anything. That's because we had previously set the player controller to be input only on the UI. We now need to turn that back, and we have to get rid of this none error. So first of all, let's get rid of the none error. The none error is caused by the game instance and on the load player data. And what it's doing is to save game data here. It doesn't always access it and understand that it exists or not. It gets really confused by it. So this is returning this as none. So the simplest way around this is to right click on it and convert it to a validated get, and hook that up to your execute lines like so. So now we won't get an error based on that. Click compile. So once we go into a new map, we want to tell it to return our game input back to the player. So to do that, I'm going to go into my map of my third person example map, and in here I'm going to go into blueprints, open level blueprint, and on begin play I'm going to tell it to get the player controller, set the input mode to game only, and then from there I also want to hide the mouse cursor. So go to show, set show mouse cursor, and make sure it's false. Okay, click compile and go back to your game, push play. Oh, let's go back to the menu first. We will get an error when we do that because we're coming from outside the save loading. So I'm just going to open up the main menu, save game 1. So save game 1, I have take note of the XP bar we've got there and my character's position. So if I go over here, for example, and hit escape and push play and go to save game 2, notice I'm spawned in a different location. But if I go back to save game 1, I'm back where I last got auto saved. Again, save game 2, different location. Okay, so one thing that might be useful is having some text or information displayed about the save game data that is stored in each slot. So here I've got text blocks available for us to use. So how do we actually retrieve the save game data without actually loading it up? Well, on the my game instance, we're going to create a function. So on the function's left hand side, choose plus function, and we'll call it retrieve save data. And retrieve save data is going to get our it's going to load up our save game. So if I go back to my event graph, so here I've got this does save game exist and the loading here. I want to basically copy most of this. Okay, so let's just copy this part from does save game exist to the cast we've got over there. Copy that and put that in your retrieve save game. And retrieve save game is going to need an input, which is going to be our save slot name. I'm going to call it local underscore save slot name. And that's going to be a string, and that'll go into your does save game exist. When we go to the load game from slot, we want to delete what we've currently got there and put in our local variable local save game slot. So now we've loaded up the game from slot, we're going to cast it to a special save game object, and that object is quite special because now we get access to the player data. So now we can output this retrieve save data. So whatever you want it to actually show on the save slot, it's up to you. I'll make it show the XP amount. So on retrieve save data, click on the plus new output, and I'm going to call it player data, and it's going to be a type of player save data. Put your return node at the end, and hook up like so. So now we've got a function retrieving the save game data. It fetches it from the save from slot and casts it and gets the player data specifically. So we actually need to call this function and use it, and we're going to do that in our save slot UI. So in the save slot UI, we need to add a construct event. So when your UI is constructed for the first time, this code will be called. And what we're doing is we're copying this from below to above. We're getting the game instance and casting to a specific game instance. And then from there, I can call that retrieve save data. And here it needs that local save slot name. And I can put it like so. And the output of this is going to be player data. So what I can do is I'm going to set a variable over here, and I'm going to call it player XP, and I'm going to set that as a float. Right click on your player data and split it, and you'll see player data XP, and I can set this as a value like so. So I'm fetching that save data and I'm storing it on my save slot UI. Now to make it actually show this, back on my designer, I'm going to click on my text block at the bottom and go back to where it says bind and create a binding. And here, I'll do the format text again, and I'm going to put in player experience colon space curly bracket XP, and there's the XP node there. I'm going to drag my variable out, choose get. I'm not going to plug it straight in because the player XP goes between 1 and 0. I'm first of all going to multiply it by a value, so it looks a little bit better for the player. So multiplying it by 100 would make it look a bit better. Okay, push play now, and we can see here I've got player experience, 3 different player experiences because I have 3 different slave slots. The reason why they got something in it is because I've been playing this around with this beforehand. So on the player experience with 20, I'm going to go in here, I'm going to open this door up, and round here I'm going to push the X key, make it go up to 40, escape, push play, and you see the player expenses is 40. Click on this button again, and you can see I'm restored back to where I was. Go back into it, and you can see I can go back to save game 1. I'm stuck in this corner with 60. Knock it up to 100, escape, push play, and you can see player expenses 100. And there you go. That's basically it. That's how we do multiple save game slots. And you could do all sorts of things. You can make the player name the save slot themselves if you like. It's totally up to you. I think what we're going to do in the next episode is we're going to try and extend on this a little bit and make it sort of like a Final Fantasy type save system where you have specific save locations and save like spheres and diamonds that you can walk up to and interact with to save your game. So I'm going to show that in the next episode. Thanks for watching. If you want to show your support and get early access to all sorts of videos and other benefits, head over to patreon.com/RyanLaley. And big thank you to all my current supporters. Couldn't be doing this without you. It means the world that you're all supporting me as much as you are. Thank you again so much. If you have any requests for certain videos, please leave a comment below in the video, down below, sorry. And if you have any issues, again, leave a comment below and I'll try and get to them. It gets a bit hectic sometimes, but I'll give it my best. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you again next time. Bye bye. Just want to say a quick shout out, big thank you to Alex Ponomorev. Sorry if I butchered your name there, but thank you so much for supporting me over on Patreon. Wow, I hope one day to make this a full-time gig, and it's people like yourself who are making it a closer reality every day. So yeah, massive thank you so much. Big shout out. Thanks again.